So that's what I have to wrap up who I want to become, what I want to change into, or, and obviously we've talked about it. I'm working my way there, but
how do you operationalize it for me? I really love how Alex Hormozi operationalizes the stuff that he has.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get there?
Yeah.
Is it just like keeping it in mind every day?
For strong and steadfast beliefs, I think I can remind myself that what I say has an impact on what I think and feel.
Okay.
And so be careful with your word choices and make sure they reflect who you want to become or who you want to be.
Right.
For disciplined to make the most of every day, I've printed out sheets around the house that I have taped up to the walls and stuff.
I've seen those.
Things I want to live by, or things I want to hold to my heart as important to me.
You should overlay an image of those on this part of the TikTok.
Yeah.
We'll make a note, because Sander and I lived together at my parents' house after graduating from college. And when he moved in on his own, he would oversleep a lot, and I would wake him up on the way to work, or my parents would wake him up on their way to work when he lived with us. But when he moved in on his own, he didn't have anyone to wake him up. So he made these fucking signs so that when his alarm went off in the morning, he would actually get out of bed. And they've been up for like over a year now since you've moved out.
Yeah.
But the people should know this isn't something new. Like, you've had these.
Yeah,
I've
had them for a while.
Yeah. And they work. You get out of bed every day.
Yeah, they do work. And something that I'm implementing now that I've figured it out and it's worked for me. I tried the same method before, it didn't work. I just decided to try it again today, and it actually worked. But I'm making a custom ringtone for my alarms. That's essentially me.
Wake up, cocksuckers! It's all over.
It's essentially me reading off what I already have printed, because sometimes I'm so sleepy that I can't get myself to even look at the page. It's just instinctual, like snooze, snooze, snooze. I have 3 alarms.
So it's not what you recorded and showed me at the bar earlier today?
No.
Thank fucking God.
No.
Dude, I was like, if that goes off, we're screwed.
No. That's a ringtone for a friend of mine.
I know
we made it together.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that wasn't going to accidentally go off at the bar, because I'm going to lose my shit.
No.
Fuck.
And so that's what I'm working on next, to be disciplined and make the most of every day.
Yeah.
Hardworking and motivated. I think that once I become disciplined, the hardworking and motivated aspects will kind of fall into place, because once I'm getting up when I want to and working on the stuff I want to, because I have strong and steadfast beliefs in what I'm achieving, the hardworking and motivation will be a result of those things.
Right.
Adaptable in the face of adversity. I think I just have to give time to the experiences that I'm living and to think with critical thought and continue to listen to podcasts. I've almost stopped listening to music exclusively, almost completely. I probably listen to about, on average, between 15 and 30 minutes of music a day throughout my whole day.
Yeah.
And I probably listen to about 4 to 7 hours of podcasts a day.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm not editing, that number goes up to like 10 or 11.
I was getting to that point of like low music until Eminem's The Death of Slim Shady album came out. And then I haven't listened to a podcast in a week. It's just been like nonstop. I like the way you lick that mug. Nonstop Slim Shady or Slim Shady music breakdowns. But
I actually thought of something about the mug the other day. Once we make it big and this podcast is growing, there's a bunch of people.
You want to sell the mug that you lick?
No, I'm not an OnlyFans model.
Not yet.
We should have over under that game Caden has. We should have over under games on how many times I lick the drip off of my mug during a podcast.
Lick the drip. Put that on a shirt. Lick the drip.
Yeah. Lick the drip. Vision Simulator.
I'd really love. So we've had. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
There's this really awesome bartender at Kahana. His name is Joel.
Yeah,
and
chill's fun.
Joel's been so supportive of the podcast. Generally speaking, I see our podcast like I see religion, which is like I see your dick, which is it's fine to have one, but keep it to yourself and don't ram it down my throat. So generally speaking, I'll like if someone asks like, what are you doing today? I'll be like, I'm recording for this podcast I have. And they'll go, oh, neat. And that's the end of the conversation. I don't try to sell the podcast because generally speaking, I do it for me and not for other people. So I don't promote it per se. But a week ago, Joel was like, oh, hey, like, what are you up to today? I was like, recording a podcast. And he was like, dude, tell me more. What's your podcast about? Like, we had a whole conversation. He's since then gone on to listen. Great guy, super supportive. I love him. Earlier today, I was sitting next to a new kid at the bar, and we were kind of having like a three-way conversation with Joel. And he introduced me to this new guy and started telling this new guy about the podcast. And so we had a conversation about it, but he's been really supportive. And I would love to have our logo on stickers to go on the back of my laptop, because I feel like people are more likely to ask me about the sticker, which would lead to more conversations and to share more, because I don't want to be pushy, especially when people don't want it. But if you're asking me about a sticker I have on my laptop, you're in a conversational mood and you're interested. And even if you're not interested, once I talk about the podcast, you don't have to listen. But it's a way to get it out there.
I wrote that down. It's super easy to make. I can just convert the file I have for our shirts.
I think that'd be great. Kind of like I've got stickers from the bar and from Hans on there. I mean, Hans made those stickers for Grace's birthday, didn't?
Yeah. You had her make them.
Yeah. We could have them do it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that can also have Canva print them. They print them 25. Well, it would be nice to support local too.
I think it'd be great.
If we need bulk quantity, Canva prints them in packs of 25.
I wonder if Hans would let us put it on the gas cap of the van. That'd be cool. That'd be so rad.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable. I'll put them on top of the small rust spots that are growing on my lawn.
I was uncomfortable asking them to promote our 335 listing because we haven't done anything for them, and I like to ask. I like to do something before I ask.
Sure.
But if we're supporting their business by buying them stickers, then maybe they would be so kind as to put it, like, represent for us. But
right.
Anyways,
that's a good thought.
Onward with your topics.
For foresights into business outcomes and paths, I think that will also come with time and experience. Same as the adaptable point that I made. Philanthropic, I think I have a great character to give back to people and to help others, right? At least I personally see myself like that. I think I've helped a lot of people. Yeah. And I think that philanthropy will maintain itself as I grow and develop as an individual and as I acquire more wealth. So I'm not too concerned about that one. I just want to make sure that I hold myself to the communal standards that I hold myself to now. Right. Obviously prioritizing what I have to do, but also remembering that there are other people around me that I love and care about and should show that to them. Physically fit and lean. I started going to the gym again. I'm making progress on that. And I'm continuing to lose weight steadily. So I'm at like mid 140s right now, 145. I think like a month ago I was at 149. That was the first time I've been in the 140s. So I'm at like 145-ish right now. So I think that I'm working towards that.
Have you looked at the Macro Factor app? I talked about a couple podcasts
No,
ago.
I haven't touched it.
If you're interested at all, I'll show you after we go off air.
Yeah.
But it's very, I'll tell you off air. It's awesome. I've talked about it in a previous podcast.
Yeah, but I remember you talking about it. I just haven't used it.
I sold it
because I know I eat like shit. The one thing I try to do is I try to look at the amount of calories I'm intaking and try to make it reasonable.
Yeah.
Obviously I have bad days too, but
I don't know. I don't like being called out for my shit. And that's why I use Macro Factor and Wear the Whoop, because it calls me out on my shit and I know I don't like it. And if I don't like it, then I should probably be paying attention to it. Yeah. But it is hugely helpful for me, and I'm trying to sell Justin on it too. So maybe I can sell it to you as well. But
yeah.
Anyways, so are these just things that you're going to keep in mind, or are you going to like write them down and remind yourself of them? Or like, I feel like there's this Robert Kiyosaki bit where he talked about like going to the top of a mountain with a friend and talking about the goals that they had written down the year before or something. And I feel like there are core values that we should grow to achieve over the course of our lives. But it would be really great if we could operationalize these into short-term, like 1-year goals, and then do the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't think of the name of the entrepreneur. He's back from like the 70s and 80s. So I watched a lot of old videos of this guy. I think he's passed away at this point. But he has this methodology for achieving your goals. And essentially the premise of it is you take a sheet of paper, you write down 10 things that you want to achieve that year, just in any order. And then you pick one of those things with a set timeline for what you want to achieve that goal in as a priority in that timeline. And then you take that goal on a new sheet of paper, you operationalize what exact steps you're going to do to make that goal a reality.
That's exactly
and
what
your reliability or your likelihood to achieve that increases exponentially if you do that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think for right now, the operational, my biggest concern right now is the disciplined outcome of every day and to be satisfied with every day in my productivity. Right. So for those things, my operational things I'm doing are the custom-made ringtone for myself in the morning. I've placed alarms. I put my alarms from my bed. I have 3, but I put them at different distances from the bed so that the first one I can hit, but then the first one wakes me up and I can hit it passively while I'm still half asleep. But the second one bugs me enough to where I have to kind of reach over and like get that one. And then I notice the third one on the corner of the room, which is my little one that rolls around on the floor and I have to chase down. So that one gets me out of bed.
Yeah.
Right. So at that point, it's just a factor of, am I disciplined enough to stay out of bed or am I going to go back to sleep? Right. As long as that third one wakes me up. Sometimes that third one I don't hear because it's a little bit too far away. But I'm making the custom ringtone. I have the sheets printed out around the house. I'm going to start my journal again so that I can remind myself. I have this like 5-minute journal that I used to do of like things. It's essentially like things of that you're proud of that you did that day, things that you think you could do better, the highlights from your day. And I think I'm going to utilize that to re-emphasize how important it is to make the most of every day that I have.
Yeah.
And actually I was, I didn't tell you about this, but I was struck the other day. This kind of sent the idea that make the most of every day home for me. Like that idea of make the most of every day, it kind of sent it home for me the other day. I was looking at recalls for E90 chassis cars. And there was a recall that I don't know if it was performed or not on the old 330 I had. And it was for SRS airbag systems that when they go off, they can splinter or fail and they can cause like really bad facial damage and like all these shards. And I have no idea whether it was, I don't know if it was done or not. And it doesn't always happen. It might have not been done. I might have just gotten lucky. But I was like, I realized that like I got really fucking lucky in that accident to walk away as unscathed as I did with minor injuries. And like, I should be very thankful for the fact that those almost 20-year-old airbags did their job and saved my life that day. And I should be really happy that I was able to come out of that largely unscathed and enjoy my future days. And, you know, I think a lot of people have those experiences throughout their life, but it's important to remind myself of the fact that today is another awesome day that you can make the most of if you choose to.
Right.
And those are some of the operational things that I am doing to achieve that. That is my primary concern right now, as well as the physical fitness aspect of it. And the things I'm doing operationally to continue going to the gym is if I'm driving by the gym, if I don't feel like going, I'll tell myself, just do it. Just do it. You'll be happier if you do it. You'll feel better if you do it. Just go in there. Just do something. Just do anything. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You waste 20 minutes sitting on the toilet watching TikTok. You can spend 20 minutes on a treadmill. Right. That's the perspective I go into at the gym. And then once I get there, even if I'm not happy to do it, I feel better leaving.
Right.
And so if I continue to do that, I know I'll get to the point where I want to go there every day. Yeah. Right. So that's one of the operational things I'm doing to get myself to continue going to the gym. Those are the things I'm tackling at the forefront of my goals.
Good.
To try and achieve the person I want to become.
Good. I always, when I am worried that I'm going to bail on the gym the next day, I'll make sure that my gym clothes are packed and ready to go.
I do that too.
Before.
I pack all my gym clothes in my bags, and I put my gym bag in. The only bag I put into my car before the morning, because my computer bag, my food bag, my tea bag, I put it in the morning because I fill it up in the morning before I leave for work. The only bag that I always have with a spare change of clothes in my car ready to go is the gym bag. When I get home from the gym, I take my old clothes out, I put new clothes in, and I immediately put it back in the car. Yeah. So that I have no excuse if I need to go to the gym that next day to make it happen. I have deodorant packed, I have my headphones packed, and I have my clothes packed in there. No excuse.
Sometimes even that's not enough. And so when I wake up in the morning, I'll put on my gym clothes and then do my day in gym clothes because it's not an inconvenience to go to the gym because I'm already dressed for it. So I'll do it and then I'll leave. I'm not that sweaty.
Good thought too.
Yeah.
Write that one down.
Anyways, these are really great points, and I'm happy that you're able to operationalize them. I have yet to operationalize many of mine, but I think that having these written goals, shorter term goals that we can physically attain and then speak about on the podcast as a mental check would add a lot of value. I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's go through some of yours. I've been spouting
I have
all mine for 45 minutes.
Well, I've been asking you.
Yeah.
So mine are centered around being hard to kill. And that's not many of these. I wrote these with the intention of how do I survive a doomsday scenario, right? And after writing them, I found that they can actually be applied to a business scenario too. So these are just general traits that I want to acquire that people that I respect have that I don't. Because in my day-to-day life, I'm very solid and firm in who I am, but I'm in a comfortable situation. I'm never in combat. I'm never in high intense scenarios, and I'm never in places of wanting. So I've never had to hunt to eat. I've never had to consider how to drink clean water. I've never really had to fight somebody, and I've never been in a firefight. So all of these are things that I need to be considering. So I broke these down into 6 categories. The first one is to stay calm under pressure. And I define that as the ability to perform tasks throughout complex scenarios with unknown variables. So you don't know what's going on. There's a lot going on. Don't panic. And the Navy SEALs use this technique called box breathing. And I used it in rowing to steady my breath before starting race. And it's 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold, 4-second inhale, round and round.
Oh, gotcha.
And scientifically, this is one of the best ways to slow your heart rate down and decrease adrenaline. And the Navy SEALs use this. And it's funny because I recently found out that the Navy SEALs use it, but I've been using it since I rowed. And I know what it feels like to be in a complex situation and be calm, because when I first started out rowing, when you start a race, your heart rate is already jacked because you're like, oh my God, I'm about to race. And by my senior year of college, I'm at this point a professional. I have 12,000 hours or whatever it is. And I'm unfazed with all of it, right? And I think that one of the reasons I'm able to do that is because I've done it so many times. But I want to be able to remain calm under pressure with something that I haven't done so many times. I just want to be a calm, level-headed person. Oscar Piastri does this incredibly. Today's Formula One race, today was Oscar Piastri's first win in Formula One.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats to him.
He started in second behind Lando Norris, right? And he went up the inside of turn 1. It was 3 wide into turn 1, Max, Lando, and Piastri. Piastri took the lead. He led for 2, the first full stint, pit stop, second full stint. And then McLaren were worried that Lando was going to be caught up by Hamilton and Verstappen. So they gave Lando the preferred strategy and pitted him first, right? But that means when he comes out of the pits, he'll be ahead of Oscar, but they'll both be ahead of Hamilton and Verstappen.
Got it.
So they come out and Lando's like 4 seconds ahead of Piastri. Last race, Piastri was fucked by the strategy. They did the same thing. They left him out 1 lap too long, and he finished, I think, 4th when he could have won the race. So this week, they were like, Lando, we just gave you the preferred strategy to fight off 4th and 5th place, Hamilton and Verstappen. We need to switch places with Oscar. Dead silence on the radio. And it took a lot of convincing and a lot of emotional, like, hey, like, remember our Sunday morning meetings. Like, you need this team if you want to have a shot at the championship. You have to give this to Oscar. Please, it's only fair. And he waited until 2 laps left in the race to slow down just enough to give Oscar the lead, and he stayed in DRS, and he finished behind Oscar. But Oscar earned that race. And on the radio, after Oscar Piastri's first win, if you remember when Lando won his first race in Miami, he was crying, right?
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton won his 104th race in Silverstone, weeping on the radio, right? And they get on the radio, and they're like, oh my God, Oscar, great job. We're so proud of you. You did awesome. And Oscar went, yep. That was a whole response. He, in 2 laps left in the race, right? And he's not letting up the lead. Max Verstappen's having a poor race. He is furious. He is swearing left and right on the radio. It's a bad time at Red Bull, right? And Oscar, to his race engineer, they're like, we're trying to get Lando to give up the position. We're trying so hard. Like, please just give us time. And he was like, The longer we wait, the higher the risks are. And that's all he said. So calm under pressure. And that is something that I am striving to become. Haven't found a way to operationalize it yet, other than putting myself into high stress situations and trying to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Second one is to be prepared. And I don't mean prepared as in a sense of I know what to do before it happens, but actually like I have this defined as train necessary skills prior to the implementation of them. So when you have to fall back on habits, you know how to do it. So a great option is I conceal carry, right? I need to be prepared in the sense that if I have to use my gun, I have to be able to draw it, load it, and fire it in like under a second and a half. And I don't have those things because I haven't practiced. So I need to be prepared through research and resource gathering, right? So if doomsday happens, right? If a nuclear bomb goes off in Wisconsin today and everything goes into chaos, right? I don't have a go bag. I don't have a poncho. I don't have an iodine water bottle. I don't have any of these things. So I need to start collecting materials and becoming cognizant of these things. The third is to be capable. And I define that as proficient in the necessary skills to complete tasks successfully. Practice until you get it right, and then keep practicing until you can't get it wrong. So this is the execution of being prepared in terms of quick draw, loading, and firing.
That was capability.
That was capable, yeah. The next one, interrupt me if you have comments on it.
Yeah.
The next one is lethal, which is interesting because there's a moral dilemma here. Because to be lethal is usually regarded as a willingness to kill. But in business, it's not a willingness to kill. It's a willingness to make difficult decisions, right? It's being capable of hurting people's feelings when it has to be done. Not out of pleasure, but you have to be able to do it. And so I define that as holds the capacity to complete tasks swiftly and consistently. So you can practice that by emotional detachment and despondence. So essentially, like if I have to fire someone who I really like.
Yeah. Alex Murphy talked about this on his.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
What did he say?
On the 15 years of business experience summarized in 90 minutes. Talks about this exact.
What did he say?
He said that you have to be. It's not hard to fire someone that you don't like or that has done something wrong. What's hard is going to someone that you like as a person and you enjoy having on your team and having the hard conversation with them that they are not right and fit for this role.
Yep.
That's really, but you have to have the ability to do that, because without that ability, that's what's holding you back from great growth and great wealth.
Yep. I define that ability as lethality.
Yeah.
And that's lethality in business and having to make those tough decisions to fire people that you like. And I define it in self-defense as the ability to just close your eyes and pull the trigger and not think about the fact that you're going to be damaging another human life. Because that's a really tough hurdle that I think many, many people underestimate. Like all the kids who play Call of Duty and want to become Marines and everything.
Well, it's easy to underestimate because we have so much violence in video games. We have so much violence in movies. It's so normalized.
Well, my argument is I think it's normalized day to day and it's easy to talk about. But when you put a kid in that scenario, or a person, I'll say, in that scenario where they actually do have to take a human life in combat, I think that has massive repercussions that they don't estimate. Yeah. Like it's severely underestimated. And I don't want to prepare myself for that, but I know that if myself or my loved ones are under attack and I am lawfully permitted and have no choice other than to harm someone, I have to be able to do that. I can't hesitate.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult practice that I think can be practiced in business and by doing the right thing even when it's hard. The next one is toughness, or the ability to sustain attack with little to no impact on composure and proficiency. So that can be getting kicked in the nuts and still being able to stand up and fight. Or it can be being insulted or told that you're going to be canceled or fired or, insulted in our TikTok comments, right? And be able to continue to complete your tasks in the same manner.
Yeah.
And then the final one is adaptability, which I think you've already spoken on. And I define that as the ability to adjust to new conditions or changes in the environment quickly and effectively. And that can be practiced with task switching, which is the ability to switch from one topic to the next, from one activity to the next rapidly with no reason, efficiently, and rapid processing. So problem solving skills and, complex situational processing. But those are the 6 that I have. So to recap, it's calm under pressure, prepared, capable, lethal, tough, and adaptable. Those are the things that I want to become.
So I love some of the points that you made. I think they're really good. I have a few ways that I think you can operationalize some of what you want to become or what you want to grow into.
Hit me with it.
I at least have 3 different things for 3 of the different points that you addressed.
Mm-hmm.
For the first one, I came up with something was capability or being capable.
Yeah.
Right. And in your sheet, to reiterate, you said that you want to be proficient in the necessary skills to complete tasks successfully. Practice until you get it right, then keep practicing until you can't get it wrong.
Yep. Got to pick skills.
I really love that one.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought of was I tried to think about things that you do every day, right? So or at least every week. You meal prep every week. You go to the gym every day. You work on your laptop every day, right? Those are the big core fundamentals that happen regularly. And I thought of for increasing capability, for every rep that you do at the gym with a certain exercise, you maybe could pick one machine or one exercise or one movement. And every time you have a bad rep with poor form, you could force yourself, like if you're doing, let's say 15 reps of this exercise, right? Every time you have a bad rep, you have to add a rep at the end. And if you're unable to complete that rep with good form, you have to drop weight and then complete that exercise at that weight, right? So it forces you to maintain the ability to complete those exercises with good form and hold you accountable for those things, right? Which I think will also tie into increasing your lethability, or how lethal you are.
Lethality, yeah.
Yeah, lethality, which you defined as holding the capability to complete tasks swiftly and consistently. And so to grow that aspect of yourself, you know, your swiftness or how quickly you complete a task effectively, obviously that time will increase if you have to redo reps to increase your capability, right? But as you train yourself to that point of perfection, to that point of quality, your lethal ability, you'll want to be able to do that exercise and movement in the given amount of time. You don't want to sit at the gym and redo reps or redo exercises because the form was bad and drop weight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So as you go through that process, you'll hold yourself accountable to try and increase your time effectivity or how lethal you are.
Yeah.
Right. And
I think those capability depends on the skills that you want, or the tasks that you want to complete, and the skills you need to complete them. And so the 2 that I kind of have in mind for business and for combat is, the first one is hand-to-hand combat training.
Yeah.
So August marks 1 year since I've had LASIK eye training. If I get kicked in the face, I'll probably be fine. Right. Confirmation from my eye doctor, but I want to get into jiu-jitsu and close combat hand-to-hand fighting, and sales. I want to be able to memorize a script and be able to speak to that script so consistently that I can't fuck it up.
Right.
Even if it's not a real script, like I want to be able to sell a product without sounding like I'm reading from a script. Do you know what I mean? Those are the 2 that I have in mind. But the same principles from weightlifting can be attributed to that. So it's like, I used to do this with piano. Like if you get a note wrong, it's like, fuck. So you take that segment, R or whatever it is in piano, chord, I don't know. R.
Yeah.
And you just do that bit like 5 times, and then you start from the beginning and you go till you make a mistake, and then you do that 5 times and you do it again, etc. But the same thing in these new skills that I want to attain. It's not just getting really good at the skills that I have, but it's also incorporating new skills and doing them proficiently.
Yes. Yeah. One that I thought of for lethality too was in your when you meal prep every Sunday. You could, maybe you already do this, but you could write down the order that you do stuff in, and then time the whole process of the meal prep, and then see where you could save time or increase productivity, right? And that training of trying to increase productivity and time management will lead to other instances or other experience in your life and being able to apply that skill.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that I use more often adaptability for that, because recently I've been having to make different food items because I was making chili for a while and now I want to throw up when I eat it. So I've been having to make different foods. And so the ones that we made today, we made 3 different meals all at the same time, shuffling stovetop space. And we ended up executing it pretty well. But there was 1 or 2 things I could have changed to make it more efficient. But for the first time, making 3 whole new meals, adaptability and like the quick problem solving, I have it as the ability to adjust to new conditions or changes in the environment quickly and effectively is a good practice in that.
Yes. And then the last one I thought of was actually for adaptability. And this one, you know, it might be okay, it might not be any good, but what I thought about is your Sundays are pretty free flowing between like your meal prep, if you do any sort of workout, and laptop work. And so I thought of, you know, maybe picking between gym, meal prep, and working at the bar, maybe all those 3, or just picking between gym and meal prep. You could put those 2 options in a hat, and then in the morning you pick out what order you do them in. And so that would force you to kind of be like, okay, like I'm going to do gym first today instead of gym last. So I'm going to change my day around this way and try to optimize it in this sense, right? So you could kind of create a randomness that would force you to be adaptable from day to day.
Introduce unknown
variables in that sense, to kind of force you to become more adaptable and be able to continue to optimize your day despite unexpected, you know, events coming earlier than you want to or later than you saw fit.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought.
That's the last one I thought of, you know, in the small amount of time I took to but those are some of the operational methods I thought of.
Yeah, those are good. I like the last one.
The last one's probably my favorite, but
yeah, no, that's a good way of introducing unknown variables that you have to then work around. And I could do that at like anywhere. I could do it at the gym too. Like I could be fully mentally prepared to do like a push day, and then I get there and I'm like, fuck it, we're doing legs today. Like totally change it.
Yeah.
I like those.
Yeah. So that's what I thought of.
Yeah.
But I think you have some really good points. I like them. I like the jiu-jitsu point that you brought up. I think that'll be really valuable and cool. I think practicing at the shooting range is probably something else that you're considering.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted the AR, but I need to get better with my pistol first. I just bought actual ammunition that I'll be using day to day. Right now I have like trainer rounds. But I want to get better at it. I mean, already, like, I've only been once or twice, but it was pretty solid when I went, but I'd like to get into competitive shooting.
Yeah.
And I would like a way to statistically track my progress, and be coached. There are also courses that they run on, how to use your pistol in a tactical combat environment, how to use it in junction with a larger AR style rifle, how to clear vehicles, how to clear rooms, how to use your weapon while driving a vehicle, things like that. And a lot of other interesting things that I want to do to get better at. And I think those things are going to fall into like pretty much every category.
Yeah.
But on that note, my concealed carry license should come in this week, like my actual card. And I have been concealed carrying. I've actually been concealed carrying this entire podcast.
Oh, really?
You haven't been able to tell.
There you are. I haven't been
sick.
able to tell.
Yeah. But I'm very much enjoying getting into guns. Has been so much fun, and I'm enjoying it so immensely. The problem is they cost a lot of money, which is the reason that I didn't get the AR the other day. But something that I'm really looking forward to as our business grows and we start to get more income, is being able to buy more effective weaponry, because this will do in a pinch, right? But there are many situations that this is not sufficient.
Yeah.
And in those instances, I need to have the right equipment, right? What are you smiling about?
You mentioned more effective equipment. And the first thing I thought of was hiring the Secret Service to follow you around.
I do think that bodyguards are important, but I also want to be able to defend my bodyguards.
Right.
So not that, but
yeah,
getting into guns is kind of like getting into cars. The big issue with it though is there's a lower barrier to entry because guns are way cheaper than cars. So like the creme de la creme, the fanciest gun is like $15,000, which is like a kind of bummy car,
mid-level car.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm being really.
It's like tires for an LMP car.
Yeah, I know. which is why I'm like, fuck, like this is going to be a really expensive hobby if I'm not careful with it. Because if I spend a ton of money on guns while I'm building up my wealth, I'll never become wealthy because I spent it all on guns.
Right.
But it's something that I'm being cognizant of. And I think that when you eventually get to the point of getting into that, you're gonna get hooked.
I will.
Yeah.
The last point, at least that I want to make, is earlier you talked about loyalty.
Yep.
And I heard this awesome quote from an entrepreneur that I really enjoy. And he said that loyalty is power and power is loyalty. And at first I was like, that's a rhetorical definition. That doesn't make any fucking sense. And he used this example and he was like, if you are uber wealthy and you get put into jail, right? They find you on some minor crimes and they put you in jail to investigate you, whatever. What do you have that no one can take away from you, right? Because they can take away your house, they can seize your cars, they can seize your watches and your money and all of the physical things that you have, right? They can, they can cut off your lines of communication, they can take everything away from you, and you just have yourself in a box, right? The only thing that you still have that you don't even need to be able to communicate with, right? So this goes even beyond just people you know.
Okay.
Because loyalty is something that is ingrained into the people that are closest to you. Loyalty is something that if you were put in prison, a person that's loyal with you in your group is someone who would understand your position and know what to do regardless of what you told them to do. Like if I got put into prison for going 130 on O'Galley, right, you would know, because, we obviously have a really good connection, that I would need someone to come home and check on my cats and make sure that my cars are okay in the yard and stuff like that, right?
Can you watch our cats when I go out of town next weekend?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Great example.
Right. So, having people who are loyal and understand your position and are connected to you is the ultimate form of power, because all the other material assets can be taken away from you in worst case scenario.
But they're an extension of you.
They are an extension of you, right? But the point
that I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying they're like everything can be taken away, but they're an extension of you, so you still have you out in other areas.
Yes,
I'm agreeing with you.
Right? Yeah, and so I just thought it was a really awesome point that what the one of the greatest things that one can strive for is to have great people around them that support them and help them grow through life and get through hard times.
Right.
And I just thought that was a really awesome message and I really appreciated it. And so I wanted to share it.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's all I got.
Me too.
For this extended 21st podcast, marking the top 1% of podcasts.
I think it'll be our first 2-hour podcast too.
Yeah, it should be 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah. We might even get a view on it. That'd be great.
We'll probably get one view.
Anyways, thank you all for listening. Check us out on Spotify and YouTube.
TikTok too. Special shorts on TikTok.
Yeah, wherever you're not watching, go watch it there.
Thank you very much. Be well.
Great job, buddy.
Thanks. You too. Enjoyed it.